The narrator argues that Donald Trump is showing clear signs of decline, pointing out that his behavior itself draws attention to it every day. According to this commentary, every attempt he makes to hide it only ends up backfiring, and now he seems to be leaning into it, displaying moments that the narrator interprets as confusion or instability. They describe a recent incident where Trump appeared to lose track of basic details, which the speaker frames as a mini meltdown driven by insecurity, followed by an attack on a female reporter, something the commentator claims he does regularly. Before diving into the lapse, the narrator highlights they start with something Trump was eager to announce: tariffs, a topic he always seems to keep front and center in his mind. But even that didn't go quite the way he hoped.
I'm delighted to announce this afternoon that the United States will be taking a small portion of the hundreds of billions of dollars we receive in tariffs. We are making a lot of money from countries that took advantage of us for years. They took advantage of us like nobody's ever seen. Our deficits are way down because of tariffs. I guess because of the election, because without the election you wouldn't have tariffs. You'd be sitting here losing your shirt. But we're taking in billions. We're really taking in trillions of dollars, if you think about it, Scott, because the real number is, when you think of all the money being poured into the country for new auto plants and all of the other things, AI. So what we're doing is we're taking a relatively small portion of that, and we're going to be giving and providing it to the farmers in economic assistance. And we love our farmers, and as you know, the farmers like me, because based on voting trends, you could call it voting trends or anything else, but they're great people. They're the backbone of our country. So we're going to use that money to provide $12 billion in economic assistance to American farmers. $12 billion is a lot of money, Meryl. What do you think? Peanuts for you, though, right? Peanuts. She's a farmer of rice. This relief will provide much-needed certainty to farmers as they get this year's harvest to market and look ahead to next year's crops, and it'll help them continue their efforts to lower food prices for American families.
The speaker argues that Trump is effectively acknowledging that farmers now need a bailout. This is pointed out with some irony, since these are the people often associated with the Republican rhetoric of bootstraps and personal responsibility. The commentary suggests it's hard for farmers to uphold that idea when, in the speaker's view, Trump's own policies, especially his tariffs, are causing financial strain. And while many farmers supported him politically, the argument is that they are now dealing with the consequences of those choices. According to this perspective, these farmers genuinely do need support, even if they don't want to admit it. And Trump's approach is widening divisions inside the GOP and among his own base. The speaker notes that most farmers would simply prefer stable markets for their crops rather than temporary relief payments that may leave them vulnerable later. In this framing, Trump is indirectly acknowledging that his tariffs are causing harm, whether he wants to or not. He was then asked about reports that around 20 Republican lawmakers may decline to run for re-election and that the midterms could be difficult for the party. His reaction, according to the narrator, didn't inspire confidence.
I have a quick question. There's at least 20 House Republicans who have either said they're going to retire or not run again. Do you
and
have
Democrats
any
also.
About the
and Democrats
right.
also.
Do you have
well,
any
why don't you mention them? How many Democrats are going to retire? How many Democrats?
Well, that's what I was going to ask you.
But why don't you tell me the number of Democrats, too? You tell me about...
Are you concerned about the narrow margins? And
no, I'm not concerned. I think we're going to do well.
Among them, and,
we will have the greatest economy.
Blakeman, who you know as well, is considering running for
governor. We're going to have the greatest economy in history. How many Democrats are retiring? How come you only know the Republicans but not the Democrats?
Because I came prepared to ask you a question about...
No, you're unprepared because you should know the Democrats. You're totally unprepared. Go ahead.
And as for why we don't have a confirmed list of Democrats retiring, simple. Many of them haven't decided yet. If I'm a Democrat looking at a potentially tough race, why announce anything now? I'd wait until spring, too. By then, the political landscape could shift dramatically. Hakeem Jeffries could even become Speaker. So, of course, the number of Democrats stepping down isn't finalized. And honestly, This isn't a moment where Democrats are eager to retire anyway. The party is becoming more unified by the day, especially as Trump continues to falter, politically and, according to his critics, mentally. Just look at these clips, one from last week and one from today, edited together by Midas Touch, showing Trump completely losing track of what he wanted to say about Pete Hegseth.
Mr. President, you said you would have no problem with releasing the full video of that strike on September 2nd off the coast of Venezuela. Secretary Hegseth now says...
You said that. I didn't say that. This is ABC fake news.
Mr. President, you released video of that first boat strike on September 2nd, but not the second video. Will you release video of that strike so that the American people can see for themselves what happened?
I don't know what they have, but whatever they have, we'd certainly release. No problem.
You said that you would have no problem releasing the full video. Are you committed to releasing the full video?
Didn't I just tell you that?
You said that it was up to Secretary
You're the most
Hegseth.
obnoxious reporter in the whole place. Let me just tell you, you are an obnoxious, actually a terrible reporter, and it's always the same thing with you. I told you, whatever Pete Hegseth wants to do is okay with me.
Wow. The way Trump reacts to reporters is just exhausting. Instead of considering that the journalist might simply be doing her job, he jumps straight to insults because that's his go-to move. And the wild part is that he seems to forget in real time that he's the one who made the original claim. If he said a video would be released, he's the only person who could make that happen. So when he later denies it or attacks someone for quoting him, it really feels like he's forgetting what he said in the first place. Trump's logic here is basically, if I lie and you report what I said as if it were true, that's your fault for not knowing I was lying. It's an upside-down worldview where the press is always wrong for taking him seriously, even when they're accurately repeating his own statements, and this fits into a larger pattern, his constant efforts to cast the media as the enemy rather than simply people reporting on what he says and does. The same dynamic extends to his allies. Pete Hegseth, as critics argue, isn't concerned with transparency or truth. He's concerned with controlling the narrative. After the controversial events surrounding him, he pushed for extreme rules limiting press access at the Pentagon, trying to decide who could ask questions and what they were allowed to ask. Even some conservative outlets rejected those restrictions as too much. The goal of this kind of control, according to critics, is clear. Blur the lines between legitimate reporting and leaks, and convince the public that journalists, not officials, are the ones endangering national security. But responsible journalists have consistently shown restraint, refusing to publish sensitive information that could put anyone at risk. This attempt to recast reporters as threats is designed to intimidate critics and silence uncomfortable truths. But it isn't working. People, especially those committed to oversight and accountability, aren't backing down. And one of them, Senator Mark Kelly, had a lot to say on this, which I'll actually be hearing in person in just a few hours. You're definitely going to want to hear his thoughts, too.
You know, the administration wants to silence you, and you're not going to be silenced?
Well, they're clearly in violation of my First Amendment rights. I said something, that was lawful. It was pretty simple. It was a message that I felt members of the military at this time, when you consider who this president is and who the Secretary of Defense is, they needed to hear, this pretty basic message. And there wasn't anything wrong with it. I didn't expect this response from the president. But he's trying to silence me, but he's not silencing me. I'm still speaking out. I still am going to do my job every single day, regardless of whether this president wants to kill me, hang me, execute me, or shut me up. I'm not going to shut up. Litigation, coming from me, it's not like in my nature, to do that. I'm going to respond. I've got, a legal team that will respond to whether it's DOD or DOJ forcefully, because they're in the wrong here. And I think people know it. And it's kind of a ridiculous proposition that because of something I said, they want to either kill me or now prosecute me under the Uniform Code of Military Justice. It's ridiculous.
And I want to get back to the strike again quickly. It seemed last week, on the heels of this Washington Post double tap report, that there was a groundswell, an uprising from Republicans who were just as angry as Democrats over what they had read. That seems to have died down a little in the wake of the briefing of Republican leadership officials who spoke with Admiral Bradley, who came out of that briefing and had positive things to say about his decision-making process. When you have spoken with your Republican colleagues, what sense are you getting from them? Does it align with what they're publicly saying at this point?
Well, maybe you're hearing from different folks publicly than the individuals that I've spoken to. I've spoken to Republican colleagues that still have serious concerns about how this strike was conducted and whether or not it was lawful.
Here's what real courage looks like, and what every leader in our government should be modeling right now. We're genuinely fortunate to have Senator Mark Kelly showing what it means to stand up to Donald Trump and Pete Hegseth. And the thing is, as he's made clear, it's not some impossible task. It's simply the right thing to do. Doing your job and refusing to cave to intimidation isn't complicated. It just requires a spine. Mark Kelly is taking on the threats, the pressure, and the nonsense directly, and he's sending a message to business leaders, to institutions, to the media. It's not that hard. Show up. Tell the truth. Push back when you know something is wrong. That's what this moment demands. I'm honestly excited to talk with him tonight. And if you want to support what we're doing on this show, if you want that conversation as soon as it drops, go ahead and hit that subscribe button. Leave a like if you're still here, and if you made it all the way to the end, drop a blue heart in the comments so I know you're one of the real ones. And if you want to support the channel in another way, check out my new interview with Gavin Newsom. It's linked below and right here on the screen. It's a good one. Keep speaking out, keep pushing back, and don't let anyone silence you. Until next time, I'll see you.